Welcome to the Groomer Next Door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is the lovely Sarah.
Hello.
Well, it's going to be a very busy episode. This week has been, I would say, busy, chaotic. What other words would you like to use?
Insane.
That would be a good one. So, I just want everybody to sit back and enjoy this episode. We will try to keep this at about an hour and a half show.
And
because
we gotta
have
keep
a lot.
us on track. And you know how hard it is to keep you and I on track?
Yes. it is difficult.
Apart, we can do it.
Yes.
Together, it doesn't seem like it's...
It's not feasible.
Yeah.
And, we're sitting outside of Giddy Goat again. And we actually have just seen somebody that we work with who had just went off to college. So that's going to probably distract us again at some point. Because we're just so good about being distracted.
I miss Leah. I miss her so much. She does her job so well, and she's so just focused, and she's so good with all the animals. And then she decided to go off and get an education.
Yeah, what's with that education?
Know, right? You don't want to be a kennel staff forever? Come on.
Oh, come on. It's
come
fun.
on.
Now, last week, we have to apologize. Last week, we both had a lot going on when we were recording the episode. I was fighting the beginnings of a migraine. You were fighting.
I got hit hard with vertigo.
Yep. And
so I do apologize to everybody if I seem like high, I guess you can say.
Or just out of it. Yeah, you were completely discombobulated.
Stumbling over things. I wasn't paying attention.
Wait, when do you ever pay attention when doing the show?
Vertigo sucks. It's terrible. Man, you move your head any direction and you're going to fall over. You're going to puke. You're going to pass out. It is not fun. You close your eyes and all of a sudden you start spinning like nobody's business, just around and around. Oh, it is terrible.
So, and I was fighting the headache, and as we were here last week, we got over here late last week because we were both trying to get the energy to get up.
The show must go on.
And, we really don't want to let an episode go by, or a week go by if possible, so we continuously...
Yeah, very rarely does that happen.
It only has happened once, and we actually recorded the episode, but it was a lost episode, so it was
Two lost episodes, it's all...
No, we only have actually one. We actually rebuilt the other one.
And then...
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off track again.
Yeah, no worries. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. There is a possibility that we might actually have a real A-list celebrity coming in to do a podcast eventually.
Yeah, Chris has been working very hard on getting this person to either FaceTime us when we record it
That's what we're
way.
going to do is we're going to interview them by computer, pretty much satellite the whole thing.
And this person is very loved throughout the Missouri Nation.
Well, yeah, Missouri Nation, around the actual, he's a real pro when it comes to what he does. I won't say too much. I don't want to jinx it.
That door design.
We're hoping this will happen. If not, it'll be an affiliate of his.
Well, I think we'll be able to get him. We're just trying to secure the times of how we can do it because this person is extremely busy this time of year. And, just to be able to lock down some time that we can actually sit down and talk to him is going to be the challenge. So,
I gotta go to the car for a second.
Okay. Sorry, I was looking at you like what are we doing? So I'm working on that. So, and like always, we're continuously trying to work to give you guys really good people to actually listen to. And of course, I'm still working on vets to talk to. I'm still working on anybody who actually is in the pet community. So we'll have more details. Some people actually have heard. Some people close to us have heard about it. But we're keeping it really quiet because, again, I'm a little superstitious when it comes to this.
A little.
I'm going to just transfer over really quick. I'm not going to bring the show down too much. But a little, sad thing happened last week to my family. And when I say my family, I'm talking about my mom and grandmother out in California. Our longtime cat, Paws, she hasn't been doing too well for the last few weeks. As some of you actually have heard, there was a really bad earthquake in Northern California. About, what would you say, 3 weeks to a month ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she suffered something during that time, and she just hasn't been feeling well. My grandmother took her to the vet on Friday, and the vet said there was very little that they could do. The only thing that they could do was put her down. So, a very hard moment for us because we've had her since about the age of what Rambo is, kid, a real little kid.
And you guys had her for a very long time before you and I got together.
Oh yeah,
and we've been together 11, 12 years
yep.
now.
We actually picked her up in 1998, and where my mom and I lived, everybody was allowed pets but us, which was very ironic. So we actually had to rehome her, which was very hard for me because I never really had a standard pet throughout my life. So my grandmother, she was like, I could probably use a companion. So she took pause probably around 99, I would say somewhere around 1999. And she's had her ever since. I mean, she lived in Orange County, which is right, if you don't know Orange County, not Florida, but California is where Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm is. So she had her there, and then when she moved up to Northern California, she took Paws with her. So she's had her since 99. And it was just, Paws wasn't eating, she wasn't really drinking, she was laying around, and it wasn't really a Paws' nature. Her tail would not go up, it would just drag behind her. So my grandmother just, said, I don't know what to do. So I actually, one of the things I have to do, and this is something we will get into in a much later, probably next episode, but they contacted in St. Helena, which St. Helena is just on the outskirts of Napa, California. There's a shelter, and like I said, we'll talk about them in the next episode. It's called We Care Animal Rescue. Great place. They gave her some great advice. They referred her to a really good vet. Did a lot of work for her. Like I said, we're definitely going to talk about these guys next week because we got a lot to cover this week. But I spoke to them yesterday. Great people. They work on adopting. They work on fostering. They work in so many different areas. I really, I almost kind of fell in love with this shelter. So, we'll figure out some way of doing something with them in a later episode. Maybe even do, a remote podcast at some point. But, for the people at We Care Animal Rescue, thank you guys for all that you've done. Thank you, thank you for, sending us information on you guys and everything that you're doing. So
what's great about them too is their ability to be there for the folks who do lose their loved one.
Right.
And I mean, when you've had a ceremony or a matrimony, whatever you want to call it, where you and this pet come together for years, and they all of a sudden disappear.
Yeah.
You need some kind of support system. And
16 years,
there.
I think, would sound about right.
They're willing to be there and listen to her and talk to her over the death of her animal.
Yeah, they've offered to do a grievance where they, she can call in and they'll talk to her and kind of have a support system. They offered if you want to come in and pet the animals, brush them, kind of in a grooming sense, play with them, come down and be able to. This is where we recommend that if anybody who has had a pet for a long time, we understand that the loss of an animal is detrimental to everybody.
Well, I know it was hard on you too. I was able to sympathize with you due to the fact that when my mom and dad and we all lived in California, we had an Akita.
Right.
Well, there were some unfortunate circumstances that happened where we had to move to a place where we couldn't have the dog. And Ronan was our rescue from the shelter, purebred Akita. So you can get purebreds from the shelter.
Oh, yeah.
Purebred Akita. We loved him. He was the biggest goofball. I mean, he holds a special place in my heart. And the only thing that was ever came close to filling it was Katana, the one that we have now. And yet, we needed to find a home. Well, my brother's best friend decided to take him. Him and his wife wanted him, and gave him an amazing life. a life that was just full of playtimes and all sorts of things. Well, 5 years later, he passed away. You know, he wasn't young when we got him. So 5 years later, he passed away, and it still hurt me.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how,
Yeah, I mean, I like the cat. I mean, I really do. I mean, she was the kind of cat. She transferred from being a teenager to a young adult, and now being an adult. She was the link that actually bridged everything together.
I heard she was a pissy little thing too.
Oh man, this cat was not the kind of cat that would let sit on your lap and let you pet her. She would hiss at you, swat at you, bite at you. Very aggressive kind of cat, but she would show affection in her own way, and
it's the type of cat that just wanted to be around you and know that, hey, this is my love. I'm in the same room as you.
Yeah, and my grandmother gave her a very long, very good life. So what we want to encourage, if anybody who has recently lost a pet, we don't suggest that you go out and just readopt a pet right away, because we understand that's a void that you're going to have to get over, and it's very hard. But we do encourage fostering. Get a foster cat, dog, whatever. I mean, if you had a cat, fostering a cat would be great. Once you're actually able to once you're able to foster that cat and see there's our distraction point. Once you're able,
I miss her so much.
Once you're able to actually foster that pet, you may end up being, as Kim would say, a foster failure, but that's actually a good thing, because you may actually have another cat that you're giving it a home and you're helping it along. You may just absolutely fall in love and say, I miss my previous pet like no other, and there's no filling that void, but at least they can save another life.
And to me, the way I look at it throughout the years, I think it's very important for the elderly to have a pet.
And even if you're a bachelor, if you're even a college kid, probably.
If you have stress that goes incredibly high. I mean, I am a supporter of elderly having animals. A lot of people aren't. They think that since they're elderly, they can't take care of the animal.
I think it helps them even more.
If it's a Shih Tzu that has long hair and they can't get out to get it groomed, well, yeah, I can see where there should be some kind of limitations where they should know what they can do and what they can't do. But I've been trying to, help Chris convince his grandmother to foster.
And I've been working on that. I have all information to give her, but it's up to her.
You don't have to have that huge commitment,
right?
But yet you can help that one cat survive long enough to find its forever home. If it wasn't for fosters out there, a ton of cats would die each year because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even
look at April, look at Kim, look at us.
Yeah, right
Glenda.
Now,
I mean, there's so many people we know who are fostering.
Right now in this area, we're having a really sad time. There is a trailer park down the road that is being demolished. People are moving out. People are dumping their cats. And Kim is so sick right now. She's very sick. We pray that she gets better soon.
Yeah, please everybody, just kind of give a big little moment for Kim there, because she's been working her tail off, no pun intended. But she's been working her tail off, and
she's
it's
going
really...
over there trying to catch him. Another lady, I think her name's Shelly, she's been all over social media trying to find fosters, trying to find homes for these cats. Some cats are feral and they need to be more of a barn cat.
Right. And
barn cats are actually quite important. They keep the mice out of their area, get them fixed so you don't multiply.
Right.
And they
serve a great purpose.
A great purpose. And so they're looking for people with barns that need barn cats. And
if you actually own a barn and you're looking for cats and you're in the Missouri area, send us an email to the Groomer Next Door at yahoo.com, and we will pass your information on to them. Hopefully, we can kind of unite everybody together.
Yeah, go to PECAL's website and such.
Phelps County Animal Welfare League.
And see what you might be able to do. Foster a cat, you might end up falling in love. You might not be a cat person, but if you don't mind cleaning out a litter box, feeding them, brushing them, getting their nails trimmed when they need it, that is the biggest reward. I mean, look at us with Rambo.
Right.
Rambo's causing us all kinds of
trouble. He is definitely a rough one.
We ended up...
We'll go to Rambo update.
So, I think it's real important for, even the elderly to foster a cat, and then they either grow to the point where they love the cat and don't want to get rid of them, then that's great too. Then that cat's got a great life with the person it's been with for a while.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We're already 15 minutes in, and I want to make sure we don't really burn through our time too much.
Yeah.
Another reason why I'm always worried about time, folks, is that there's only so much time you can actually piece this stuff together. It's really complicated to put one of these together, and I have, I think, 3 different things I need to add in, so I'm having to worry about clock and everything. So if you hear me going, okay, we need to move on, it's just...
I see a big no-no right now. There's a lady driving a Jeep right now, it looks like a Bashan is in her lap, and she's driving with one arm and the other arm holding it against her chest.
And here's the other part that's a problem. That's a brand new vehicle. There's still papers on it, so she has yet to actually been able to learn the actual mechanism of that car. So who knows what she was driving before.
Man, if you get in a car accident, the first thing that's going to end up hurt is that dog.
Yep. Folks, please don't drive with dogs on your lap, and especially hanging out the window. The other thing is that dog can lunge out the window, and you're in full motion.
One bump and the dog goes up and out of the window, and that thing, when they hit pavement at any speed, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt. And
so sorry, that was off topic.
A little bit of a moment. All right, so moving on. Let's go into last week. Since we were already kind of talking about last week. Last week was again very busy. We only had one thing that actually stood out to me. Yeah,
there's one particular pup that it was a challenge for me, even with my 10 years of experience. It was a challenge for me. This lady adopted a Yorkie from from Oklahoma, and it was the sweetest little dog, absolutely super sweet, cuddled up to her and stuff. But when it got to the grooming.
But see, that was the weird part. Here's where, I guess pulling the curtain back on behind the scenes here. When I had the dog first in the bath and dry, I'm doing the typical, usual thing. And this is where we always, like to kind of give people this little insight here. The dog was great for a bath. It was great for the drying. Now, we're talking, moving the dog around. We're not talking about jerking dogs around. We're talking lift them up, shift them. They're comfortable.
Holding on their legs so you get them dry.
Washing their legs, actually washing their legs, drying their legs, everything. Picking the dog up, great dog. Yet, once it hit the grooming table, it hurt the clippers, it spazzed out.
It was crazy, it was perfectly fine getting out of the kennel. The only thing that gave me a little bit of warning to take caution in the first place was that when I was checking out the mats at its back end, it kind of put its teeth on my hand, not biting, just kind of holding my hand. And I was like, okay, great, he's not going to like this. Something's wrong with his hips. He's got bad hips or something. So I knew to take caution in the first place. Well, caution doesn't even begin to describe what we had to do for this pup. There's a video on my Facebook page about it, and I knew the owner wouldn't believe it unless she saw it for herself.
A lot of owners don't. A lot of owners don't believe that their dogs can actually become a Tasmanian devil. A lot of them are completely oblivious. They think, no, my dog is great with me. Well, that's not always the case, and that's what this was.
I barely touched his back end, and he went to bite, and I myself hate muzzling dogs, and so I am going to do everything in my power not to muzzle a dog. Even if that means I'm going to get a bite here and there, I'm still going to try not to muzzle. Well, at first, he wasn't biting. He was just putting his teeth on me, and there's a difference. He's just holding my hand versus actually biting down. Well, he started, as we continued, started putting more and more pressure on my hand. I'm like, oh, I can't afford to lose my hands. This is my livelihood. Put a muzzle on him, and it got worse and worse and worse, and to the point where we just had to continue and continue and continue, making sure, checking his eyes, checking his gums. If the eyes started to, those veins in the eyes, the red stuff.
Red eye.
Yeah,
if
the veins start popping up a little much, or bloodshot.
Bloodshot, thank you. I was not even coming up with it.
As people are listening, it's bloodshot,
I know,
guys.
right?
But so eyes get bloodshot and the gums turn pale
White
pink.
or pink.
It's time to stop. So, checking the gums, checking the eyes, and then continue. And it got to a point where, with my tricks of the trade, I was able to get him finished, and he looked real good. But the entire groom, he had a muzzle on. And the muzzle, he was able to open his mouth and pant. But just the sheer feeling something around his mouth restricted him from biting. Just knowing that there was something there.
He still got you a couple times, though.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt.
Now, here's the lesson here, folks. Why do you think, now we're going to ask the expert here, why do you think that a dog would react like this?
The way he acted on the certain points that I put my hand would suggest to me that a groomer in the past grabbed his back end and swung him around. A typical hold is where you put your hand underneath where their genitals are.
Yep.
I mean, no way around it. You're going to touch it. It's not that big of a deal. It's a dog.
Yeah.
You know, it's like changing a baby. You're going to have to wipe the areas to keep them clean.
Trust me, we get it every day. There's either pee or poo that's somewhere on us.
Exactly. We got balls. Hand sanitizer near us all the time. But when it was touched on certain spots, suggests that somebody dug their fingers into the hips. And, wow, that car
is the quietest car I've ever heard in my life. Sorry, folks. We're just sitting here. I didn't even know it was on. I thought it wasn't starting.
Oh, how funny. You can't even hear it.
I know. My God, that's the quietest car I've ever heard. I don't think that's
Lincoln.
electric. Wow, that is awesome.
Anywho.
There's the ADD moment brought to you by.
But, so, I stopped, give him some love. This haircut that should have only taken me 45 minutes to an hour to do took me an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes to do. But it was worth it. I told the lady said it was just an absolute shock.
Well,
she only had this dog for like 4 days before he brought it to us.
She was just completely like, no, I don't believe you. And I love the reaction. It's like, I can understand that. I can completely understand. We have video of it. And, you know, when you say I have video, people just go, what?
Yeah, it's CYA.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, it's to cover yourself. But,
and you also want people, especially if they just adopted, you want them to know just what they have in front of them, just so that they don't make those mistakes.
So she said, well, what can I do? And that's the best thing for any groomer to hear. What can the owner do to help? So I said, put your phone on vibrate and let it go off. And put it on him or something. I said, just touch his back end. Let him know that you're not going to hurt him. And bring him in every 6 weeks. We had to shave him short because he was matted. And we were able to do it successfully without having any risk of cutting. Because I'm not going to do something unless I know I can get it done without hurting the pet. We got it taken care of. So I told her, next time he won't need a body groom, but bring him in anyway so we can get something done. So she's willing to do that. I told her I'm willing to work with you on the price because you have to bring him in so often. But the best for the pet, the need of the groom is more to the pet than the money is to me.
Yeah.
That pup needs to find his zen. He needs to find his center again. And I have to work with him to get him over with it. Since he's already good with you in the bath, we got to continue that. And you have to be continued giving him support during the bath. That part doesn't go south either.
Right. Yeah, and that's the hard part. There are a lot of times, and both Sarah and I, we've talked about this a lot of times. We will find a dog that will come to us for the very first time, had a previous groomer that you can, and we've said this on previous episodes, you can tell has roughed up the dog during a bath, has roughed up a dog during the drying. And those are real obvious abuse factors. And if you don't think that it's abuse, it is. A dog, when you're washing it, if it's shaking crazy and it's starting to get aggressive, something happened the previous time. When you put the dryer out, now of course the dryer has some sound to it, but you know, once you get them warmed up to it, they're okay. They should know. If they're jumping around the whole time and they're going crazy, there's a good indication they also had a bad time during that.
When the dogs start hating the sound of the blow dryer, we put cotton balls in their ears and we use our little hoodie that's specifically made for dogs to help soak up the water in their head and helps muffle the sound. Now, it doesn't really help when you have to blow dry the head, but for the majority of it, we can keep them relatively comfortable.
And there's always ways on doing the head where you actually don't have a nozzle with forced drying in their face. There's a lot of ways that we use that it's not this big gust of air blowing in their face, and it could be very, very painful. So we don't do that.
So I posted the video on my Facebook. I got a bunch of comments, and the comment that I am so thankful for is the one by Jessie Queen, the dog trainer that we interviewed in our earlier episode.
Well, she was on Raw on the Strut Your Mutt as well. Last interview on Strut Your Mutt.
She said, well, something you might want to try is put a little bit of peanut butter on the wall, since it looks like the majority of your problem was the back end. So put a little peanut butter on the wall so he's concentrating on that versus you, and see if that will help any. And I asked her, well, I have to have the muzzle on for my protection too. Can I do that? She goes, well, can he open the mouth? I'm like, yeah, he can open his mouth. He's panting. You can see his teeth in the video of him raising his lips up. So he's got full motion. If he wanted to hurt me, he really could. But it's me trying to give some kind of trust to him that he won't.
Right.
So next time he comes in, I'm going to make sure I have the peanut butter there, or some of that Kong paste or something on the wall so he can get to it when he gets a chance. Or I can keep correcting him to go to the wall and lick off the wall.
Well, it really was a unique situation. I mean, I think
he got my heart pumping. And that doesn't happen very often. The only time where my heart starts beating out of my chest is when I got an agitated cat I'm shaving.
Yeah.
So when I get a dog that's making my heart pump, that's something serious.
And you know, you really had me going, because I thought it was one of the more complicated situations we've had in the time I've even been there. So, interesting. All right, well, let's move on.
Well, we had one other thing that happened in our work week.
Okay. Well, that's going to be another segment that we're going to get into.
Do you want to do that now, since we're talking about our week?
Let's go with it.
Okay. So, we work...
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to lead up to it, and then I'm going to play the intro into it.
Okay.
And then you can lead into it. Okay. Go for it.
We work very heavily with adopted animals from the Raw Animal Shelter or
Tri-County,
Pical, anything. You have the heart to go and adopt. We have the heart and the time to help.
Right.
So that means if you just spent the money for the fee to get the animal.
Which, look, Raw Animal Shelter, $35 is a wonderful fee. It's not that much to adopt.
It's not the $150 like Orange County
That's
Animal
true.
Shelter. So.
But 35 is 35.
So we should take our time, and Keith allows us to use his shampoo, his water, his machines, his time, his space.
Right.
You know, he loses more money than we do, but he's using it as he wants to help too.
So this is where we actually encourage everybody, if you are in the Rolla area or St. James or surrounding areas, and you're looking to adopt, let us know that you're gonna be adopting. Get in touch with us, whether it's through Facebook or get in touch with us by email, thegroomernextdoor@yahoo.com, and let us know that you're adopting.
And if you go to Shadowwood's Facebook, you'll see a sign that says text the groomer.
Right.
Text me. My number's up there.
So if you actually are adopting, let us know ahead of time. We got this call day of, and she was looking to actually get the dog washed. Now, I'm not going to tell too much. I want the actual interview to actually, work itself in. But if you are actually looking to adopt, let us know. We will give you a free bath, bath brush, nails. All we ask is one thing from you. Tell us your story. What we will do is we will record you, interview you pretty much, on what made you adopt this dog or cat. Mostly it's always dog. But if you actually adopt a dog, let us know why you adopted them. When you actually do the interview, you will be part of, which is our new segment, the Adoption Corner. So, sit back and enjoy the new segment. This is the Groomer Next Door Adoption Corner.
Okay, so here we are at Shadowwood Pet Resort, and I am with
Michelle Schaefer,
and you just came from the Rolla Animal Shelter and adopted what kind of a dog?
a border collie.
Cutest little thing. Adorable. Definitely needs a bath.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
So, what made you want to go into the Rolla Animal Shelter to look?
Well, my little boy, he's 11, and he's been wanting a dog for the longest. So we found this beautiful dog there at the pound, and I waited all day to get it for him. And he paid with his own money that he saved up from his grades and from the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus, so he did a good job.
How old is he?
He's 11 years old.
Oh, that is so sweet. What made you want to say yes to it?
Mommy finally gave in since he's being so good.
And what kind of outlook in life do you want him to have by having the dog? What kind of lessons do you want him to learn?
Friendship, loyalty, very much responsibility, all the good qualities.
Well, that's great. Have you come up with a name yet?
He wants to call him Sparky.
Sparky?
Sparky.
How old did they say that Sparky might be?
He might be a year, maybe a year and a half old.
Oh, that's a cool age.
Yeah.
They kind of grow up together.
Yes, and be very playful and get attached. You know what I mean?
So you were telling me that your son saved up money from his grades, so he's a pretty good kid in school too.
Oh yeah, he does good. He makes straight A's, gets along well with everybody. All the teachers love him.
Well, that's amazing. There's so many parents out there who just, no matter what, no dog, no animal, no.
Yeah.
And sometimes it starts out that way, and then, like you said, mommy gave in.
I finally gave in, yeah.
Is Sparky your only pet?
No, I have a cat. She got a little chunky on us, so we started calling her Tubbs. We've had her for about 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's still around kicking, ornery as ever.
Is she playful, or does she...
Well, after William was born, she got a little jealousy.
Yeah.
Started getting very mean and aggressive, so we had to turn her into an outside cat.
Oh.
So now she just lays around like Garfield and eats and sleeps.
That's funny. Yeah, my cats, we have two of them. One was actually born on Chris's lap, and it was a calico. Well, she never really wanted to play, never really wanted to do anything. She was happy enough just to be around.
Yep.
And then we're fostering Rambo. It's a cute little black kitten. And all of a sudden, Callie's playfulness just kicked right in. And now she wants to be held and stuff, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, that worked.
But,
yeah.
Trying to think of any other questions. Chris kind of put me on the spot here. Normally he does all the interviews. I'm just here. Do you plan on getting any other pets, or are you trying to keep it with just one?
Just one for now. Let's see how well it works out.
Awesome. Well, hopefully everything goes well, and if you have any questions with training, just let us know, and we can help you out. We got a couple different people we can suggest to you.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, thank you for your contribution to the world and adopting a pet instead of going out and buying one from mass litters and stuff.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I really love that story, and I wasn't able to interview her. That was awkwardly at the wrong time. I was really interested with that story. I wanted to be able to do it, but I was so busy that day.
It was such a touching story. I mean, Keith came in and right in the middle of me doing this highly aggressive dog. When I'm in the middle of doing a very aggressive anything, I have no time to think about anything else.
Right, yeah, he came to you with this whole thing.
Hey, would you like to take an extra dog? Every day last week, we took in 1 to 2 extra dogs.
And this one,
every day.
This one, I was already well into the jam-packed. So bringing in an extra BBN was pretty much off the rails. I mean, it wasn't possible, but we made it work. Well, see, Keith says, do you have time for an extra bath tomorrow? And I said, I don't think so. There's just no way. And then he goes, well, she's adopting it from the Rolla Animal Shelter. I'm like, okay, yes, we do have time. Whether I skip my lunch and do it or I stay a little bit later, we'll get it done somehow. I also said I could always pick up Claire and come back here to do it if that's impossible. Or I can find someone else to pick up Claire and you can do it. Well, we had that problem with Monday. We have an amazing work schedule that we can really manipulate. Yeah. So then
after we said yes and that it will be a free bath, she just broke down and said how much thank you so much. My son saved up his money for this dog. And he's got enough money, and he wants to be the one paying for everything. The food bowl, the food, the dog, everything. He wants to pay for.
Which was amazing.
It's so hard for a kid, I think he was 11.
Yes, he was 11.
To save up the money from tooth fairies, from Christmas gifts, Santa gifts,
I like that.
birthdays. He saved up the money for this. And then Mom finally gave in to allowing him to have a dog.
Yeah, that is just...
How hard is it for a kid to save up the money and say, hey, I want to go buy a package of bubblegum every day?
You know what? I look back to even Christmas when I get my gift cards. I don't have anything from Christmas last year that was a gift card. I barely can hold on to it for 5 minutes. So it's like, for a kid, every month is like 6 months to an adult.
You know, this is parenting done right.
Oh, yeah. And this is a kid that's on his way to actually being a real good member of society.
Well, it's like that little girl. Instead of having a birthday party with all these gifts showering her, she asked for them to bring a bag of dog food.
Right.
And all the dog food went to Tales of Hope Dog Rescue out in Tennessee, where we were going to get a Nikita, but ended up there was just too much. Anywho, this young man, I mean, it's just
I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it. Honestly, I look back at 11. If I had money, it would have been for a video game. Let's fast forward to now. At my age, if I have money put aside, it's for a video game. So, I mean, amazing kid to actually go out and have the willpower for this.
And it's amazing that the parents said yes.
And it's cool.
Because a lot of times with kids, they want a dog, but they never end up taking care of it.
Yeah. He's going to take care of that dog for sure. But, what's also great about it is that his mom and dad were like, you know what, if you can do it, okay. But then when it came time, when he had the money, they were like, okay, we'll actually still honor that agreement that we had with you. And some parents don't.
I can't remember if it's in the interview or not, but when I was speaking to her, to the mom, she waited outside of the Rolla Animal Shelter for a couple of hours before they opened because it is first come, first serve. And her son had his heart set on this pup. It was it looks like a smooth-coated border collie. Black and white, but super smooth-coated.
I was a little surprised. He was bigger than I was expecting.
He was smaller than I was expecting.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we had different... okay.
So she waited out there, and it was hot. It was in the 80s that day, 85 or something.
It was one of our last warm days here.
Yeah, it was hot.
Of course, people that are in California are going, what are you talking about? It's 100-some degrees.
I know, right?
I'm in a jacket right now.
So she waited there because she knew someone else wanted him. And she waited. She showed her son, you're willing to do this, I'm willing to do that. And like I said, that's parenting done right.
Yes, it is.
Because not only are you showing your son and teaching your son responsibility, you're showing him what it is to be loyal.
Learning to save money, to have a goal. They taught him a lot with this.
And it is important to give back.
Yes.
That was just so awe-inspiring. I mean, that's what we're trying to raise Claire as.
Yes.
Is to think of somebody other than you.
Yes.
And at her age, at 6 years old, it's kind of hard to because they're the center of the world.
Yeah. There's no big world. There's a very small world that goes from this block to the next block, and that's it.
Exactly. And her being the only kid makes it a little hard for her to not be selfish.
It does. Now, let us know, because we just found an update on Bob. Let us know about Bob, because obviously we had heard about Bob, but we thought he was getting adopted. Let us know what's going on with Bob.
Yeah, we thought he had a home. This lady really wanted him. Come to find out he wasn't neutered, and everything just fell apart from there. It was a sad... She was so heartbroken. I said that many times on the other podcast that we did.
I think it was last week, or...
I think it
was last week.
Well, Bob finally got adopted.
Yep.
And...
luckily, we know somebody who knows the person that adopted him, so I'm hoping that they bring the dog in and we can give him a bath, like we had said before, and interview them as well. Because honestly, Adoption Corner definitely is an encouragement to all of you to actually go out and adopt a dog or a cat.
Yes, and I told the lady, I said, you pass it on to your friend. We are here, and like I said, I live by this. If you're willing to have a big enough heart to give an animal a home forever, we have the big enough heart and the time and the willingness to go ahead and do something for free. What?
I don't know, just
You're
being goofy.
So Bob has now a amazing home. I'm just so excited. I hope everything works out great, and hopefully he's happy.
I do too.
There's a couple other pups that are in the Raleigh shelter right now that have been there for a long time.
Right.
Folks,
Actually, what I'm going to do is, we were talking, Sarah and I were talking just before we started recording. I'm going to try to do a video podcast this week right from Raleigh Animal Shelter. I'm going to talk to John. Obviously, by the time this is going to be released, him and I have already probably spoke, but we're going to try to do one. So, again, if you aren't aware of this, we do have a YouTube channel. Just look the Groomer Next Door up, and we're on there. We have all the podcasts as well on there. We have it in multiple different places to see us or hear us. But we also have a lot of video podcasts if you weren't aware of it. And video, they're vodcasts. What it will be is it'll be actual videos that we'll shoot. Strut Your Mutt was on it. There's one from Tri-County, one from Animal Shelter. I'm going to try to get down there this week with Claire, shoot what is available so that everybody can actually see, and maybe you might find your next furry companion that you want to adopt. So stand by for that. Just keep watching out for this stuff, because I never know if I'm going to have the time. Mondays are soccer practice for Claire, so it's hard to do. So we'll get there, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do a vodcast this week.
yeah, I would love to be a part of it, but with work being so
It's
jam-packed,
so hard.
work has been. We're supposed to be in a dead season.
Yeah, it feels like summer never ended. It's awesome,
it's
actually.
supposed to be slow
Thank
right
you,
now.
everybody.
And yes, thank you. Like, again, we've been so blessed in our lives
Yes.
that it's selfish of us to not help.
It really
It's
is.
selfish of us not to give.
Yeah.
And it's great. So the Raleigh Animal Shelter, they are so full right now of dogs.
They need
They
you
only have
to
a
come
few
down.
cats, but they have an abundance of dogs that need homes. There's a lot of them. There's a few of them there that have been there for a couple months,
Right.
and they really, really need to be adopted.
They do. All right, well, this moves on to, we go from the light, now let's go to the dark. We're going to move on to Ain't Nobody Got Time for That moment of the week.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Welcome back to Emotional Mojo. Let's kick off our Get Motivated segment with the moral of the story. We're going to jump right to it. Listen to your intuition and your dog. We proclaimed Killian our hero last week, along with much of the nation, after learning the beautiful Black Lab Shepherd mix saved his family's baby from an abusive sitter. And guess what? Killian is joining us live from South Carolina, along with his owners, Ben and Hope, and baby Finn. They are all here to share their story. Welcome, you guys.
Well, hey, good afternoon, good morning.
Let me jump in and say we are all so happy that everyone is healthy and happy, and that you can now spread your message and safe as well. And we want to help any parents out there pay attention to signs of problems. So right at the beginning here, you guys initially did a background check on the babysitter, Alexis Kahn, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So what happened from there? I mean, you do these background checks and you think everything's okay, and then it's not.
Well, we actually went through a process of interviews with other babysitters as well. We had a sit-down interview before we even let her know where we lived, or before she even met Finn. So we felt we had done everything right. And she babysat a few times a week for about 5 months before we really started to notice anything.
And you say what tipped you guys off was your dog, Killian's behavior. Tell us about Killian. What was the change in the behavior that kind of spiked your interest?
Killian is a very laid-back dog. He'll bark when someone comes to the door, but once they come in and he knows that that person is okay, he's fine. He's shy, stays away. But after a while, Killian actually started to, after the barking, he would actually be aggressive towards her. The hair on his neck would raise, and towards the end, I actually had to stop him from going forth, and that has He's never done that before.
Wow.
I think that was the dog barking, wasn't that, Killian? Did we just hear Killian bark?
I don't know.
But nonetheless, what's really interesting here is that your dog instantly became protective of the baby and was thus able to alert you. It's interesting how dogs have such an amazing connection.
Right. He definitely was protecting the youngest one of the pack.
Can we talk about then, we're calling it here the eye sting operation, but what did you do once you noticed the change in behavior? How did you catch her?
Well, initially we weren't sure what was going on that caused him to, we knew something was wrong to make him react that way, but we didn't know what it was. So we hid an iPhone and set it to record a voice memo underneath our couch while we were both away at work. So while we were at work, the phone set recording, and we set his baby monitor beside the couch so that whenever she stepped into a different room with him, the voice memo would still record what was going on through the baby monitor.
That is brilliant. I can't believe that
I know, who would even think of that?
Thought of that.
And we need to mention, too, that since then, Alexis Kahn has pleaded guilty to assault and battery, and that the baby is fine, okay. And you have Killian with you, right? Can we get a little look at him?
Yeah, he stepped over. He doesn't like that.
Too much attention, I guess, right? So I got to ask you, at the end of the day, what is your message to the parents out there?
Listen to your intuition and your pet. Even if you think everything's going to be okay, if you can, get a webcam, get a nanny cam, just in case. You never know.
And as for Killian, we hear he has a new career. He's working on service dog.
Yeah.
He is. We are training him to be my psychiatric service dog.
That is awesome. He is certainly our superhero. Thank you to all of you guys for joining us and for spreading that message, and we wish you the best of luck.
Well, that was a unnerving story. Having a child and having animals. I mean, what a story that was. And I got to thank you. You were the one who found it.
Yes, it was on, Barks for Dogs. I can't remember the Facebook page that I saw it on. Oh my God, I can't believe how despicable people can be.
And you know what made me laugh is that the father and husband was very much like me, pulling out all of his electronics just to actually catch this person. I actually was like, wow, you're very much like me. I like you. Way to go.
Man, I was floored when I heard this. But when I say you really need to trust the instinct of your dog.
Here's the reason why.
Some dogs, they growl at anybody, so you gotta kind of, can't really follow that lead. But, like, say if Katana,
yes,
if our dog started growling at somebody, back off. I don't want you in my life. There's something wrong with you. I know Kelly, she's one of the groomers who helped me become a groomer. She had a dog named Hobo.
Yeah. Hobo
was a bloodhound, a purebred, and loved by everybody. He loved everyone. Well, she was walking the dog one time, and a guy came up, no different than if she was going to walk and some other guy came to hit on her. He started growling at her. And Kelly's like, I'm sorry, I don't have time to talk to you. My dog doesn't like you. Plain and simple. Just walked away. What I think kind of happened, too, is that it sounds like not only did this woman abuse the child, but abuse the dog, too.
Yeah, if you're going to abuse a child, you're going to definitely abuse animals.
Give them a kick or, move them real hard in the hip.
Yep.
So I think there was more than just the abuse of the animal or abuse of the child. By the time they put two and two together and thought, maybe let's try this, and they put their iPhone underneath the couch and the baby monitor on the table. By that time, the dog was put away because it was getting to the point it was going to bite the babysitter. And it goes to show that no matter how much you trust somebody, no matter how many background checks that you go through, there could be people that fly under the radar that are just POSs.
Oh yeah, and that's very common. I mean, I think we can all see it throughout history. Look at, and not going into politics or anything, but look at not that long ago, the president is in an elevator with just a random security guard. Nothing really happened, but here's a guy that had a gun, Secret Service didn't know about, and is recording stuff with Obama, which was ridiculous. He was a trusted person, and he completely did something stupid. There's always going to be that person you trust, or you think you should trust, that just is not the person you should trust.
Luckily, that SOB who did that is facing criminal charges.
Yeah, she's facing, and she pled guilty, which is great.
Yeah, it makes it a quicker trial.
She probably got a plea, though, for pleading guilty, sadly enough.
Still.
But, yeah.
You know, that's one thing that in jail they do not allow.
Yeah.
Is child abusers. Because
Nope.
most of the criminals in the world were abused at some point as a child. And that's statistically speaking.
Statistic. Movie reference. Have you noticed we always do a movie reference in the show? At least one. I don't know if everybody knows it. That's our little hidden gem in the show. We actually do a hidden movie reference. If you can figure it out, good for you.
I did an MIB one earlier. That hurt. You know, it hurt, but it hurt. So
that's the second movie reference, though.
You know, hopefully she gets a little more justice than what the courts could have provided her. You know.
Yeah, because I do know a lot of prison guards. They actually will, a sex offender. They'll tell the big bad person on cell block, hey, this person was a sex offender of a child, and usually there is some internal justice. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, but it's good though. You know, if you're going to do something wrong, you're going to hurt a child or an animal. You know, maybe you should actually face what's going on in there.
She should have a little harder charge than just what she got.
Sadly enough, the animal charges, though, are very minimum compared to other things. They kind of look at...
Same thing with abuse of children, you know?
I think
they
still
serve
minimum.
a little bit of time in prison or jail, and they're often living their life like nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to register as a sex offender, but look at California. They actually get... You can't discriminate against a sex offender or a criminal. They have to allow them to be resident in areas. I mean, some places are just really ridiculous. Anyway, moving right along. We're going into off topic again.
So, just so folks, pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to your pet and what they do. Like I said, not only did this dog, not only can a dog depict which people they like or they don't like because of obvious reasons that aren't so obvious to you.
Right.
But there are dogs out there that can sense low blood sugars, medicals. We talked about those before. Roxy,
depression. If you actually go back to the depression episode, that actually was a great one. Roxy was great for a lot of things.
Dogs are a lot more sensitive than what people think they are, and I think the world's starting to realize it more and more now when animal rights are starting to become more of a thing.
Right.
Than back in, the early 1900s or something like that, where they're just a piece of property. And
I'd say even in as far as the 90s, people really didn't care as much.
Yeah.
And beyond. All right, well, let's move on, of course, to my favorite segment of the week. And that is our sports segment, which we interview Claire after each game. And it's a little thing I like to do just because, well, I'm proud of our daughter. Now, I have to mention, Claire and her team did really well yesterday. Love everybody on that team. It's just a fun thing to be part of.
They're so flipping cute.
They really are.
And it was so cute. I had to brag on you a little. So, in her soccer, it's a very large...
well, first, before we go into it, let's play the intro into it.
This is the Groomer Next Door Sports News.
All right, now you wanted to talk about something. You wanted to brag about something, so go for it.
Okay.
I here's another thing. Sarah doesn't understand how many different little things I do to make this thing sound the way it does. So she's like, "What? You do what?"
I'm just here to bring my expertise and opinions, That's all I'm here for. But no, I had to brag on you for something. It was super cute. So Claire has this very large soccer team, and it looks to be one of the biggest soccer teams that they have.
I think it is.
In the whole area, because the other team has 2 people that set out for subs, and each of your teams that were split into half and played 2 separate games, each had about 3 subs.
Yeah.
So it's
4 on.
That Mustang was racing a Focus.
Right.
Really?
Well, at least it wasn't a Prius. So, anyways,
I don't win much.
another movie reference, folks. We actually play in U6 is 4-on-4. They don't really want 5-on-5. They want 4-on-4. we have 4 kids and we have 3 subs. So almost an entire kit actually will change. So it can be really, really difficult. So go on.
So they were having fun and stuff, and at the beginning of the game, you got down on their level, you got down on your knees, and mind you guys that don't know Chris, he's 6'8". Okay, and all of these kids are itty bitty. Claire is one of the tallest. There's 3 tall kids, and Claire's one of them. But he got down on his knees to talk to him on his level versus
I just sit on the
bending
grass.
over.
I'll usually sit on the grass and talk to him pre-game prep, pep talk and stuff like that. It's for fun.
It's just a simple, hey guys, we're here to have fun. Remember, don't kick each other.
Yeah.
Don't steal a ball from each other.
Yeah,
and
work together.
Most important, if you don't score, that's fine. Have fun.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the game before you really push yourself on making yourself good at it.
Yeah, you're 6 years old. I've taken sports, like I've said in previous episodes, pretty far. At this point, you need to fall in love with the game. And you need, the first line of learning to love a game is your coach. Your coach has everything to do with it. So I have been lucky. I had good coaches. I had bad coaches. The first thing I learned was if I have a good coach who wants to teach me to play, teach me how to have fun at the game and enjoy it, then, again, it's called a game.
And you're down there and you gave everybody fist bumps and they're just so excited. And you even, one little girl who likes to continue with stories and explain things to a very...
full content, goes into a very long story for everything.
And so, you just simply said, okay, great, well, and you gave her some extra time to explain. You realized it was going long. You just tell her, hey, look, let's tell me this after the game. I'd love to hear it. She forgot, but, it's hey, no problem, sure, I'll take that extra time with you. You're not my kid.
Yeah.
I do not have responsibility over you, but I took it on because I wanted to be a coach.
Yeah.
And you've really helped the kids. The kids are coming up and hugging you the instant you show up.
It is a little weird. I'm not going to lie. The hugging part is weird, but kids show their affection by hugging. And, we're adults. We forget about these things. It has been a great experience so far. I started coaching just because of our daughter. I didn't want to sit on the sidelines and watch somebody else coach our daughter when I knew I would stand there and say I could do a better job.
Well, the thing is, too, we only have one child, and we're planning only to have one child unless we have we're going to do it again. We've tried to keep Claire as a single child. So if we don't act now, we're going to lose it forever.
That's true.
Because there's going to be a time, not very far away, where you can't coach.
That's true.
You're going to need somebody that has full-on expert ability, who is part of the school, who has gone through the courses, and
may have actually gone further in that sport than I did. I didn't play soccer. I played hockey. So it wasn't like learning this sport. It's the same thing in some degree, but...
And honestly, with me, I thought soccer was kind of...
You thought
boring.
soccer was pretty much the same as hockey.
Well, I was like, okay, you run this way, you kick. You run that way, you run this way, you run that way, you run this way.
Well...
And then eventually get to a goal sometime in between. So I was brought up as football.
Yeah.
Where there's actual strategy.
I'm going to move right on and just play this week's interview with Claire. Hi, Claire. It's October 4th, and you just played in your second full game. How was it?
Great!
Tell me about it. What happened?
There was a Yada team almost pushing me, and they almost put a little big kid, and I almost scored.
Yeah, you almost scored. It was right on the side of the net.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Good.
It did? Well,
It felt great.
Now, you were doing a really good job on turning with the ball.
Yeah.
And you had really short dribbles, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the game, how did it feel to actually get through your second very unique game that you've played in?
Great.
Any other words besides great?
Awesome.
Okay, well, thank you, honey.
Bye.
All right, so that's our little girl after her game. Now, you wanted to add something.
Yes, during Christmas time when the Christmas trees are being sold.
Yes.
There is a Christmas tree lot in Kroger's parking.
I always wonder how much of this people hear, how much of the traffic people are hearing. I mean, I'm hoping that everybody is having an enjoyable cup of coffee while listening to this. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's us sitting down, having coffee all together.
Big trucks going by.
That too.
At the parking lot of Kroger, they sell Christmas trees. And it's all volunteer, it's nonprofit, and it goes to the Optimist Club.
Yes.
And that's what Claire is a part of right now. Claire is part of the Optimist Club. There's no fee to join. You just have to pay for your shirt.
No, we didn't even pay for the shirt. The shirt was included.
Oh, that's right. If I wanted one,
if you
I
wanted
had
one,
to pay for it.
coaches get a shirt and the kid gets a shirt.
Okay. So,
if you want extra shirts, they cost.
Oh, okay. So it comes included with the shirt, and they have sponsors like Claire sponsors our Sinks Pharmacy.
That's right.
So on the back of her jersey,
I would have loved Donut King because I love donuts.
So on the back of her thing is Sinks Pharmacy, and
Right.
what's also pretty cool about Sinks Pharmacy is that you can go to their store and get the children's vitamins for free.
That is true.
So that's pretty nifty. But it's all around, it's been a great thing. I think next year or next season should be the spring season. Chris and I are both going to coach her team. And I wanted to help. I got a sliver. I got to help the kids kick the ball in the net, as practice. I had a little small sliver of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to help. I want to help. I want to help now.
It is hard to sit on the sideline. We're going to continue on in the kind of quote unquote sports portion of this segment. I do want to mention some great people. It's a great organization that we've just kind of started talking with. They are known outside of Missouri, but a lot of things that they do is in Missouri, and it's Athletes for Animals. Athletes for Animals. Obviously athletes, they have a lot of charities that they're a part of. This one, it really does mirror what we do. They promote adoption. They support spay and neuter and then care and sharing everything, doing different things around. I want to actually do more with Athletes for Animals, and I'm going to be in touch with them as well for further information, different things that are going to be going on. I just really want to actually always align ourselves with great organizations that really do a lot.
Yeah, the more organizations that we're a part of and we're trying to help and spread the word, the more we can help others. PCAL is near and dear to our heart.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's because we live in Phelps County and we can have a direct line to them. Well, we also need other places and other areas where we're not exactly at, because not all of our listeners aren't exactly in Rolla.
True.
So the more information we can give them to maybe closer to the parts where they're at, will help out quite a bit.
Right. And I mean, just a few of the names that actually are part of this organization is Anze Kopitar. He's with the Los Angeles Kings. Barrett Jackman. He's with the St. Louis Blues. David Backus is with the St. Louis Blues. I have Brad Thompson, who's an MLB paid pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. Barry Enright, who's with the Dodgers. We have David Perron, who's also with the St. Louis Blues. Eric Johnson, who used to be a St. Louis Blue, who is actually a Colorado Avalanche. Jake Long, if anybody knows Howie Long from Fox, he's on the St. Louis Rams. And there's much, much more. Great athletes that are actually part of this organization. So really love hearing about this.
Didn't Backus bring pups over?
Yeah, he did. He was in Sochi, Russia for the Olympics this year. Team USA. He actually brought 2 pups back, and
he caught some heat for that.
He did catch a lot of heat for it, good and bad.
Yeah, the heat part it's upsetting me. It's like, look, all right, yes, you're right. There are a ton of pets here in the U.S. that need help.
But look at what he did.
It doesn't make the pets overseas and other places less worthy of being saved too.
And see, I think what he did was he brought awareness on a global scale. Now, Sarah knows this because I don't even know if we've talked about this on previous episodes. When I was in Qatar last year, I would send her pictures of the cats out there. They had a mixture between mutated feral cats. They were very odd. They were feral, but they were like mutated. Animals out there were just...
They were weird looking.
Yeah.
They were very sickly.
Yes, they had
All
so
of
many
them
diseases.
were so sickly.
Yeah.
It's almost like you guarantee you don't plant anything outside because if they get to it, you might get sick.
Well, they would urinate everywhere, and so you had to be very careful on what you touched. So what David Backus did was, by breeding those dogs over, he opened up a global scale of dogs in need, not just in the U.S., but everywhere. And his scale, you know, he's definitely a main figure in the NHL. You know, being the captain of an NHL team gives him a little bit more recognition than, say, you know, just somebody who's a fourth line player. So I got to give him credit on that one.
Well, that's why I don't understand how in the world people ridiculed him for that. It's like, okay, so you're saying the homeless animals in the U.S. are worth or have more worth
valuable,
to live. You know, they have more of a life to live than the ones overseas.
Right, and you know what's great?
A life saved is a life saved.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's here or there.
Right.
Yes, we really need to get control over this area, but there's so many people out there that adopt from the U.S. because they can only adopt from the U.S. that if a couple people go overseas to adopt an animal there, here, and there, isn't going to change anything here.
Very true. And you know what was great about that is that, you know, he's talking about bringing dogs back from Sochi. Now, if anybody is aware of Russia, Russia has a super league, and it's called the KHL. The KHL is trying to lure a lot of NHL players. And for all of you who don't like sports, it's just a real moment that I'm just going to spend, really quick moment too. The KHL is trying to lure a lot of NHL players over. Those NHL players that are going to be going over to the Super League out in Russia, this is a good opportunity for them to learn through, you know, people like David Backus about animals in need, and possibly can start organizations over there to help animals in need overseas. So, you know, it was planting a seed, and I think he did a great job by doing so. I mean, he took a lot of heat, and he took a lot of praise for it.
Oh, those dogs are so cute.
They were.
Oh, they're
and you know, I got to give it, you know, to his wife, who is also involved with him in this organization. So, you know, obviously I know a lot of you guys probably aren't sports people as much as we are.
Yeah.
But I do like to tie sports and animals together as much as possible. So,
I mean, just look at all the interviews we did with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, Springfield Cardinals.
I'm sorry. I love them both so much that they're one and the same to me. Especially when we see them move from, you know, Springfield to Memphis to St. Louis, or Springfield straight to St. Louis.
Yeah, it's always awesome.
There's one big family, I guess. But
so, you know, with that, I mean, I really have to, you know, give it to him. Really brief on different things. Let's see. Kittenado was this past Saturday.
Unfortunately, nobody went home with the cat. Nobody adopted. For one, it was freezing cold.
It was very cold yesterday morning.
It was terrible.
And I have to say it right. It's not Kittenado. It was Kittenado II, the second one.
The second one.
So, you know, the first one was such a hit here in Rolla. Unfortunately, you know, we're at the edge of kitten season or cat season for adoption. And I think that, you know, soccer season, you know, being that everybody's over at the Lions Club for Optimist was probably another thing that hurt them. But great effort by Pete Call. You know, obviously, really sad.
They might have planted the seed.
Yeah, it probably did. It probably did.
I hope none of them feel like their efforts were wasted.
No, it wasn't wasted at all.
They were there. People saw them. People saw what they did. They saw the kittens there. They saw the cats there. And oh boy, were they cute.
And if you actually go into YouTube, I probably won't have it. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I might have a very short video of what was available at Kittenado. It'll be a short video, more like a trailer of it. I will have that up on our YouTube channel because they are just awesome people. Obviously, we say it all the time. We really do love everything that they do. So unfortunately, it wasn't as much of a success as we wanted, but you know what? Like Sarah said, planted a seed.
Exactly.
And of course, let's, you know, close out with Missouri Lost and Found Paws. You know, there was an event coming up that you know of?
Yes, there is.
Well, I have to thank them. They had mentioned, of course, the podcast last week. You know, we don't mention you guys because you guys do it for us. We mentioned you guys because we really loved meeting you. We love what you guys are doing. We love the fact that we can align with each other.
Reuniting a family member that has been lost for X amount of time is unbelievable. I mean, look what happened at Katrina.
Yes.
When Katrina hit us, it hit hard. And so many people lost so much. And there was this one dog, I believe it was a lab, that was lost for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And he ended up finding his home. They found him.
They found him.
The owner didn't give up on him.
Did we do a segment on it, I thought?
I don't think so.
Really?
I read this a long time ago.
Huh.
But he was able to reunite with his dog after Katrina hit and took everything from him. He got something back. But Missouri Lost and Found Paws, there is a convention coming up hosted by All Paws Rescue. It is being held at St. Charles Convention Center on October 25th. And it goes from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So far, there's a couple people going. Go over, help support them, learn what you could do to help, learn what to do to keep your pup as safe as possible, and such like that. I know Rolla's having a hard time right now where people leave their dog in the yard to enjoy sunbathing on a nice day or something like that, and somebody comes along, dog's friendly, and they snatch it right from their backyard.
Yep.
And then they sell them for a profit. They sell them off to all kinds of people. Don't care why, don't care if it's going to a good home. They don't care if they're selling them as bait. They're getting their money.
Which is something that I think we should mention. If you are locally here in Rolla, I don't know if we mentioned it last week, obviously everything blends together. If you are here in Rolla and you have dogs outside, definitely be very cautious. We have been informed that we have people that are coming through. We don't know exactly the extent of if they're locals or if they're just passing by. And Rolla's the unfortunate place where they're at the moment. But they're scooping up dogs. They're using them either to train fight dogs. They're using them to actually sell on Amazon, or not on Amazon, on
Craigslist.
Craigslist, thank you. I don't like Craigslist, but that's why I was always on Amazon buying my stuff. Not animals, by the way. But they are using it. We also are involved with an incident that has happened in Kroger. Not going to mention too much on it, but there was somebody who looked to have been training a dog for dog fighting, went behind Kroger, and...
you see any kind of suspicious activities, call it in.
Yeah, if you see a person with a video camera and a dog, definitely call 911 because they could be filming abuse on other animals. There's definitely some things that are going a little off the wall. So keep your eyes open. These guys, you are the voice for animals, and that's the big thing I want everybody to take out of this. You are their voice.
It's the same thing when it comes to children. People out there are irresponsible, and there are a ton of irresponsible parents, and there's a ton of irresponsible dog owners that, even though they're not our responsibility, we still need to take it as our responsibility to help keep an eye out.
Right.
I mean, there's kids on our street that are out there skateboarding across the street, and we have to go ridiculously slow because they dart out.
Idle speed, ridiculous slow.
And our foot right on the brake, so in case we need to stop, because if we hit them, it's our fault.
Yeah, it is.
Even though those kids are not being watched by any kind of parents.
Yeah, I mean, pet owners, parents. I mean, there's good and bad in all of them, but
So you need to just help. I mean, even by doing so, will help you just with the sound.
A nice warm feeling inside to know that you actually tried to make a difference.
Exactly. There was a dog next to my last place where I worked. I would go over and make sure he had water because he kept dumping his water bowl because he had a huge logger chain around his neck and kept dumping it himself. So I kept going over and giving him water because that's what I need to do to keep my sound in mind that I'm helping.
Yeah, because there's only so much you can do legally.
Exactly.
So, all right, everybody. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode.
Just make sure to go on Missouri Lost and Found Paws on Facebook. All Paws Rescue. And if there's not one in your state, think about maybe joining. It'll be a great hobby.
Yep.
And a great reward at the end.
And yeah.
You know, Missouri Lost and Found Paws has their local place in St. Louis, and then there's another one for Rolla and Phelps County area. If there's not one in your area, think about maybe joining hands.
And of course, you know, if another one to look into, as I mentioned, is Athletes for Animals. Great organization. I mean, it's not just here in Missouri. I mean, obviously they have people who are part of it who are not even in Missouri. We're talking about one player who's in LA.
Right.
You know, and please, folks, you know, if you want to go out and do something, go and volunteer at your local shelter. It'll give you peace of mind. It really does. And you're going to be helping a little helper that will make a difference.
Ask if you can come over once a week to help walk dogs. Sit in their pen, play with them.
Yeah.
Anything will help. See if you can transport one of them that needs to get groomed to a groomer that will do it for free or something.
Or even transport a cat or dog to another city. I mean, there are pet taxis. Boy, I could not get that one out. Pet taxis that, you know, will go from, you know, either, let's just use us, whether it's from Rolla to Jeff City, or Jefferson City for all of you who aren't aware of the lingo out here, or from Rolla to Springfield, or from Rolla to St. Louis. That's a pet taxi that you're just going to, you know, take a pet to somebody who actually adopted it 100 miles away, 150 miles away. That little thing that you're doing is going to make a huge difference. So, you know, and if you don't want to do anything, that's fine too. But, you know, if you're
I'll tell you, life will be a lot more fuller if you do something.
Yeah, but, you know, you're not obligated. It's just ideas to make your life a little bit different. I'm glad we do it. You know, whatever you do in this world, it's your call. So anyways, that's this week's episode of the Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Have a PETastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green. Make sure everybody remember, life is so short. Play with your pet.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go. It's my bedtime.